We've been watching the opening speeches, whines in some instance, of the Supreme Court hearings. Joining me, of course, Emma Vigeland.
Hello.
Emma.
And by whines, you mean like the way that Lindsey Graham was whining like a baby, as opposed to, it's a party. I'm drinking wine at the confirmation hearings. That might be better.
I don't know what happened. I don't know what they have underneath their desks, in terms of like what they do before they head in. But yes, in fact, we have one of those whines from Lindsey Graham right now. Here is Lindsey Graham in his opening statements, addressing Ketanji Brown Jackson, telling her what this hearing's not going to be.
Before they shut down the place, so that's off to a good start. Most of us couldn't go back to our offices during Kavanaugh without getting spit on. Hope that doesn't happen to y'all. I don't think it will. As to the historic nature of...
Pause it for 1 second.
Did someone spit on Lindsey Graham? Did I miss that news story?
That was, most of us. And by most of us, he means none of us. This has always been like the classic story that is often more apocryphal, right? Now, we were spit on our way back to our offices for supporting Kavanaugh, just because it was quite clear he was lying through his teeth.
Like they were returning from Saigon or something.
Exactly.
Yeah. I've been spit on. I got spit on in the Trump rally. I'm not going to shoehorn it into every conversation.
It's a marketing opportunity, Emma.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
I want to be clear about something about the Kavanaugh thing.
How do I commodify it? How do I get an NFT of me getting spit on?
I don't even know what that would be, but I'm sure somebody will oblige.
Someone do it.
I just want to be clear about something with Kavanaugh. We can't know for absolute certainty about the allegations against Kavanaugh in terms of the sexual assault that he was accused of. But if any human being above the age of, I don't know, pick it, 16, thinks that he was telling the truth when he talked about what he had written in his yearbook about that woman, and that was supposedly his friend, that I can't remember what it was, and it's not even really important, but it was quite clear, some type of reference to,
was it the boof thing?
Partying.
I can't even remember.
Yeah, it was some reference to, like, when they were in high school, that maybe she had, fooled around or had sex with,
Renata alumnus.
Yes. All these people who had fooled around, that's a euphemism, with a specific woman. Look, high school kids, with all due respect to those who are watching and to the ones I have at home, it can be idiots. But the point is not whether a high school kid can be an idiot. It's whether a grown man or woman, for that matter, can own it and not lie in front of a committee that's determining whether they should be one of 9 people who have an inordinate amount of power over our society.
No, he went the opposite direction. He went into
full on denial. But the bizarre thing about that moment,
appealed to Republicans, by the way.
The stunning thing about that moment was there couldn't have been a single human being in that room, including his wife, including every person who sat on that committee, who didn't know that he was lying. And yet everybody pretended like it wasn't. And that was like, that for me was one of the most disturbing moments, because it became clear that they were going to adopt the Donald Trump, MO, which is not to say that ideologically or anything else or a lot of other things that, Donald Trump was just a natural progression of the Republican Party. But this was the first moment where I just saw, like, we're going to take a complete and blatant lie, and we're going to be vociferous about it in supporting it. Indignant
and just furious that you would even ask this of me, especially what was so jarring too about that, if people remember, was in the wake of Christine Blasey Ford's Incredibly powerful testimony. Again, we can never know for sure, as you say, but she was consistent. Her therapist notes were consistent, and she was brave. And like then the U.S. Senate sided with the indignant one.
Right. And the indignant about something that one moment, everybody knew he was lying.
What's that thing from the Iraq War era where it's like we create our own reality?
They said you guys are part of the reality-based community.
Right.
And
we're just gonna opt out of that.
We opt out. We create our own. All right, continue with Lindsey Graham, because it was very hard for him. This is a wonderful opportunity for me to talk about how oppressed I am.
It's going to be about your philosophy. The bottom line here is when it is about philosophy, when it's somebody of color on our side, it's about we're all racist if we ask hard questions. It's not going to fly with us. We're used to it by now, at least I am. So it's not going to matter a bit to any of us. We're going to ask you what we think you need to be asked. And Senator Hawley, you need to ask her about her record as a district court judge. You should. I hope you do. And we'll see what she says. Very fair game. Now, President Biden had a choice here, and he has every right to make it. Elections have consequences. He had many qualified African-American women to choose from. He chose you. Michelle Childs, a district court judge from South Carolina, supported by Jim Clyburn. That was in the mix. I think it came down to about 2, 3, 4 people. Don't know for sure, but that's what the press was reporting. And when it came to Judge Childs, this Arabella group's in her White House. You talk about dark money, you may be onto something. This Arabella group is funded by Soros and some other liberal billionaire. They got so many groups in their group, I can't name them all now. But they basically said, if you pick Childs, you may have a primary opponent. The FL-CIO said,
Pause for 1 second. You know, one of the key elements of dark money is that
you can't identify it.
You can't identify where it comes from. Now, apparently, he's been able to identify the group and who funds it and all of it. So
and their demands.
And
he's like, just before we get past it, when he's teeing up Hawley there over the weekend, Hawley made some comments about how Ketanji Brown Jackson is.
We're going to go through that.
Okay. We will supportive of sex offenders, but it's just like he's like making sure he gets his QAnon campaign speech in and just priming him for that to happen. So
Judge Childs was a union buster. The attacks from the left against Judge Childs was really pretty vicious, to be honest with you.
Oh.
So you say, Judge Jackson, you don't have any judicial philosophy per se. Well, somebody on the left believes you do. Or they wouldn't have spent the money they spent to have you in this chair. So we're going to find out how that statement holds up over time. A viewer's guide to this hearing. She will be asked about her sentencing practices as a district court judge, and she'll have a chance to explain her reasoning, and you can make up for yourself what this means, but it's good to be asked. About her legal views. I'll ask her about the law of armed conflict and her view of the law of armed conflict. The fact that you represent the Gitmo detainees is not a problem with me. Everybody deserves a lawyer. You're doing the country a great service when you defend the most unpopular people. But I do want to know about your amicus briefs after you're no longer a defense counsel weighing into the Supreme Court about how they decide law of war issues. That matters a lot to me. I think it does matter that the groups that came to your aid at the expense of Judge Childs, how did that happen and why were they doing what they were doing? What is it about your nomination that the most liberal people under the umbrella of Arabella threw in their money, their time, their support, and threatened Joe Biden?
Listen, I have a prediction here. Well, one, obviously, he's already said why they didn't. They came out against Childs because she was a union buster. He's answered his own question, but I am going to make one of my famous predictions, and that is you're going to hear the words Arabella so much in the future that you're going to get nauseous how many times you see it. It's going to be like it's going to be the new boogeyman for a period of time. Yeah, exactly. So be prepared, ladies and gentlemen.
And right, so like the no, so he's gonna hang his hat on like, why didn't you pick my guy, my guy, basically my judge, which is silly. But there were groups that were in favor of Childs versus Ketanji Brown Jackson because she's more conservative. So there we go. As you say, that he answered his own question.